Okay, so as you can probably see, obviously handleable, it's not massively handleable, so you have to be a little bit careful and obviously watch out for wet spots. But as you can probably see, around this side, as you can see here, here's the front, totally done. No problem at all, quite grimy and everything, but then here's the back, so you can see it's a lot more dirty, and that's the type of effect we want. So what we're going to do, put a little bit up here, but as you can probably see this grime and everything, we're going to keep that as is to give it that real heavy duty weathered look to it. So when you go along and you compare it to something that hasn't been weathered so heavily, it certainly makes a real big difference. You know, something like these areas here, certainly on the back, you can see there's quite a lot of difference between the two, so they'll need to be weathered as well. So we're going to put a small little amount around the front end just to keep that all in proportion with it, but we're not going to wipe any of that away. We're going to leave that on because that's part of the weathering effect. Now obviously we could come along now and say with some rusty, give it some rusty type marks, some black for more hydraulic things and bits and pieces like that. But what I like to do is really bring it all together, get it together on its gear, flaps and things installed, and then put those final little touches on afterwards, because that way they all line up and everything else like that. But that's it. That's the basics of using the wash to give you that nice, real grimy, dirty look to your model. So, okay, if you're wondering how grimy that is a good example just down in here. If we wet a cotton bud and go along, you can see the difference we've made, and that's how grimy that has made that look. Very simple, because if you don't like it, and that's the great thing about the wash, you just wet a cotton bud or a towel and you can just wipe it all off and start again, and that's the beauty with the wash. So if it does go wrong, just wipe it off, start again. The other thing as well, say you've made a little accident like there, just come along with your wash, pop it back in your airbrush for this particular part as we're doing it. Okay, all we're going to do is just lightly blow that in and we'll make that disappear. Okay, another little technique you can do is quite an interesting one, which isn't going to cause too much problems if it goes wrong and all the rest of it. If you just take a thin brush, so we've got something like here, okay, we're just going to take some of the black wash, and all we're going to do is just put a very, very small amount in a couple of little cracks in panel lines and things like that. So we're just going to run a little bit down in here and a little bit in there. Okay, what it will do is you can see it expands and gives a slight sort of water mark to these things, which is one little technique you can do. So certainly for round, you know, things that have hatches and things like that, you can literally just go along and it just gives a slight staining effect, which is, it can work really, really well with various different types of things. It works better on armour, if I'm honest, than aircraft, but also you can do this type of effect with it. And what happens is a capillary reaction will go off and take the wash around quite nicely, but it also gives that sort of soft edge, blurred effect to it, and you can do things like that, obviously, to do it. Now, another great little trick you can do, okay, if you put a little bit more, as we say, just a bit of a puddle, okay, come along with your airbrush and blow it. And we can do this type of effect. So what we're going to do, we're going to turn the airbrush up a little bit more. And we can blow it and make those squiggly little lines and swirls and things you get. So we take a little bit more, we just put it around this one here, in that one, okay, and then, as you can see, we can go along and we can give little track marks, and it looks like hydraulics have given off a little bit, so we're a bit more in this one, this area, okay, and then it dries them back, and obviously you get that type of effect. So you can give, if you wanted to, as I say, it's more of an armour gig, this one, than this, but you can get some very nice weathering effects just by doing it. Unusual thing, if it doesn't work, but you don't like it, you can wipe it off, start again, but you can do this type of effect underneath. So if we just come in here, so it looks like it's come out the doors and everything, and you can do runoff. So obviously on vehicles and armour and bits and pieces like that, you can do quite a bit. Quite a large one on the go here. So we're going to blow that right to the rear. We don't want it to go over there. So we're going to blow it right off the back. So we can blow it in all directions to get a sort of squirrely effect to it all. So if this makes sense, you can basically see what I'm trying to do here and recreate. But you get that nice now, as you can see under here, we've got that sort of real grimy hydraulic effect. So we put some around, and blow it all around, and just to build up your areas of it quite nicely. So this one. Let's just do a few in this area up here. Okay, and as I said, if you don't like that effect, take it away and forget about it, wipe it away, and away you go. There we go. It's just a nice effect you can do, and it works really, really well, as I say, on armour and specifically sort of heavy-duty things like that, rather than the lighter things. It's certainly, if you wanted to do aircraft run-offs, perhaps where they've been stood around a little bit of the time, hydraulic leaking, things like that, as it's blowing back. So what we do, we're just going to pop a few little bits of darker wash, the black, into various things. This could be a good one to do, and then what we're going to do, we're just going to run that off. And we'll just atomise it all around and blow it all around, just like that. It's everywhere. And we'll play that all running down the back. Couple of these. You might be able to see there, we get that type of run-off effect then, which dries in. But as I say, if you don't like it, don't worry, take it off. What we're going to do is just fill these little gaps up here. So we're just going to pop some in the black wash in that one, and we'll have a little bit of the black wash in that one. Okay, and then we're going to do is just going to run some more down the back. And there we go, that gives us that type of effect. So what we do, we're just going to put one more little one just running around here. So it makes it look like runoff. out of hydraulics, just like that. And that gives, as I say, other little weathering things you can work with. But as I say, the great thing with the wash, because it's very forgivable, you know, and obviously you don't like it, just wipe it off, start again. But you can sort of build up layers and layers and layers with it. And as I say, it does go wrong, don't worry, wipe off, start again, come back. You can add to it, you can take away, whichever you want to do. And obviously by using the different colours, you can come up with a variety of techniques to give you some great weathering.